Give the gift of a delicious burger from Bulldog Burger, a soup and sandwich from Sweet Pepper's Deli, appetizers and cocktails from The Grill, or even a wood-fired steak from Harvey's. Choice is the perfect gift. An all-in-one gift card from Eat With Us.
At First Choice Bank, we know you can't always make it before the bank closes. With our integrated teller, you can talk to a live person as late as 7 p.m. on weekdays and noon on Saturdays. It's not just an ATM, it's an ITM. First Choice Bank, your choice for banking.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 10.
Well, you've done it. You've made it halfway through the work week, and we have another beautiful forecast heading into our Thursday. Welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 10. I'm meteorologist Gabe Maynor, and again, it's a great forecast, but we are tracking some inclement weather as we head into the latter part of our week. We'll track that here in just a moment. Headlines here from the Room to Room Weather Center. Simply put, Thursday starts dry and it stays dry. Not only that, but it stays above average temperature-wise, so buckle up for even warmer conditions. But strong storms remain possible Friday. Those warm temperatures, as well as that moisture replenishing in our environment, setting the scene for an active pattern as we get into our Friday. So stay weather prepared. We'll keep you informed on the very latest on what we have here at Mississippi Live Weather. So we'll update you here at the 10 o'clock broadcast. Step one, you've already done. But let's go ahead and get into that third headline, and that is going to be those latest football forecasts. We have Thursday night games, Friday night games, Saturday college football games. I mean, we are action-packed, so I hope you're ready. A lot to take in. Let's go ahead and start with the here and now, and that is going to be those dry conditions overnight. The first 12 does have 51 degrees by 11, dropping into the upper 40s by our early morning commute. A little bit of some patchy fog, but that's only for a few isolated locations. Overall, it's going to be dry, going to be clear, going to be a beautiful sunrise as we get our Thursday started. Speaking of sunrise, sunshine remaining the prominent factor in our forecast, so make sure to enjoy those sights. It's going to be yet another great forecast that we can take in and enjoy as we get into our Thursday. And another reason why you really need to enjoy it, well, severe weather risk on Friday showcases that level 1 threat all across I-55 and for portions out east. Level 2 threat right along Boonville, Corinth, and Iuka. As you can see right there, the primary area that we are focused on. And to be honest with you, it's going to be further towards the north and east that I'm really focused on for that severe weather development. Get into that here in just a moment, but it's a little precursor of the action-packed week we have here in the weather world. Let's take a look outside. Oxford showing 52 degrees right now. Our game of the week tomorrow night will be in Oxford, doing highlights around this same time 24 hours from now, so tune in. Going to be a good one as we have two ranked teams with Starkville coming to town to take on the Oxford Chargers. About 52 degrees, 50-degree dew points showing that moisture returning to the forecast. Same thing around Blue Springs. Beautiful starry night up there towards the Ellistown area. 52 degrees though. I mean, it's a great forecast nonetheless, especially for this time of year. We usually expect cold conditions, but that's not exactly the forecast overnight. Going to be pretty mild in the grand scheme of things. At Mississippi Live Weather radar showing not a drop in the sky. This is what we call clear air mode, which means that we're not tracking anything on our radar, and that has been the case all day today. I'm getting a look right there over the past 6 hours, not tracking anything in the form of rainfall in our area, so keeping with those dry conditions once again. Satellite imagery, if we expand things out, we can really get a visual on this as we are staying dry and clear, not just here in North Mississippi, but across the entire Mid-South and Southeast. The main part of moisture will be up there around Denver and further towards the northwest, and that is actually our weather maker moving forward, as you can see right here with our water vapor imagery showing a lot of water vapor over there towards Seattle, stretching all the way to Denver. So action-packed out there. That becomes our forecast in the coming days, so don't feel too bad for them because we'll be dealing with it right along with them as we get towards our Friday. Let's bring it back into town. Mississippi Live Weather radar showing those dry conditions, but we do have this front moving across the area. This front actually acting as a wind shift overnight, not bringing any rainfall, so don't have to worry about getting that rain gear out or anything. This is going to basically shift our southerly winds to more of a northerly wind, but as that starts to shift a little bit more towards the east, our winds shift right back. So we're not going to be enjoying that northerly breeze for too long, and it's not going to keep us those clear conditions too long as well. As you can see, a sunny morning, but as we get towards the latter part of our morning and into the afternoon, it definitely I expect some cloud cover to build for the rest of our Thursday. So 6 a.m., a lot of this going to be some patchy fog that we're going to be tracking for our morning commute. Meteorologist Maggie McCauley having the latest on that forecast. But as we push more into our Thursday afternoon, you can see a lot of that just burns up, that sunshine coming up, giving us a clearer forecast by the afternoon and that lunch hour. So get out there enjoy some lunch plans outside. You will not be disappointed, as we are going to be dealing with those fantastic conditions once again. Southerly breeze still in the area, and that's giving that moisture time to replenish here in our atmosphere. So Thursday afternoon, already getting a little bit of those mostly sunny skies. So it is going to be a forecast that we have to track a little bit of that cloud cover building by the afternoon, but overall, mostly sunny conditions do remain in place. 48 degrees around 6, climbing to the mid 70s by the afternoon. So whoever ordered some early fall-like weather, you have gotten abundance of it. So I hope you're satisfied. But beyond the forecast, once we move past the rain showers, once we move past our football games, next week, looking very cold. We'll have an update on that coming up in the next 60. We're also going to take a look at a full breakdown on that Friday severe weather potential. And did anyone say football? Well, if you didn't, we're going to get football either way. Football forecast coming at you here on Mississippi Live Weather at 10, live from the Room to Room Weather Center here in the next 60.
This roof's getting installed with our premium roofing system. Backed by our 50-year warranty. And there's a 0% financing, no payment for 6 months options that this customer utilized. If you're looking for a new roof and you need an affordable option, call Absolute Restoration.
Right now, from the Mississippi Live Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
We've been talking about a beautiful forecast across North Mississippi as we head overnight and into the start of our Thursday. But I do want to say for all of our Bulldog fans out there, Bulldogs came out on top tonight, got that opening night win. So if you're cheering them on like me behind the scenes, well, they pulled it off in the second half. Definitely a scare there for North Alabama in the first half. Not looking too good, but hopefully that we get back on track. But a win is a win. Back to the forecast. Speaking of a win, 48 degrees in Amory at 10 o'clock at night is definitely a win for this time of year as we are staying with those mild conditions overnight. Not going to be overbearingly cold as we get towards our morning commute. 52 degrees around Crenshaw, still with those clear skies. That starry night happening out there in Crenshaw. A beautiful sight out there. But dew point currently at 50 degrees. It is still a moist forecast as that dew point continues to climb just a bit. Columbus, you can see out there on those roadways, Highway 45 and Highway 82. Very minimal traffic, so don't have to worry about that if you're out and about. Maybe, is Krispy Kreme open this late? I love going to Columbus for a Krispy Kreme donut. So if you're like me and wanted to go grab a donut, then good forecast for it. 54 degrees, though. It is, again, a mild forecast overnight, but Mississippi Live Weather Radar showcases that those mild temperatures don't translate to anything in the form of rainfall. We are staying dry across North Mississippi, so no need to worry about cranking those windshield wipers up as you are out and about. Continues to stick with those dry conditions. But if we look on the expanded forecast, you can see Mississippi Live Weather Radar is tracking this frontal boundary pushing through the region. No rainfall attached to it, but we are going to see a wind shift moving into our Thursday just for a brief second. And then we'll get into a replenishing of that moisture as we get into our Thursday afternoon and setting the scene for an action-packed Friday, or at least that's what models are predicting. As we see right here, that level 1 threat primarily going to be I-55 and for portions out east, northeast corner, the far northeast corner under that level 2 threat from Boonville to Corinth to Iuka, all the way up there towards the Kentucky area. We look at that expanded risk. You can see well into Nashville and Jackson, Tennessee. And I'm going to push it up here just a bit so you can kind of get a visual on that. But it goes well into Kentucky. To be honest with you, models aligning with this a bit more. But that's primarily going to be north and east of our area of the greatest concern. We could get one or two of those strong cells that develop over the top of us that could have the potential for some large hail. We'll get to that here in just a moment. Your day planner. What can we expect for our Thursday? What is going to start with a foggy morning commute, midnight with those foggy conditions, 51 degrees. That very little wind right there, that 1 mile an hour wind, that do you even call it a breeze at that point, is not going to be clearing out any of that moisture. So that's why we are going to be getting that foggy start to the day. But as sunshine moves back into the forecast by our morning commute, that's going to burn up a lot of that moisture and leave us with clear skies as we get into that late morning and early afternoon forecast. So Futurecast does show exactly that. You can see overnight by 2 a.m., foggy conditions already starting to develop in place. This is going to be some patchy fog, so not everyone dealing with it, but a little bit more coverage than what we've been seeing the past few mornings. So meteorologist Maggie McCauley will have the latest on that morning commute and update you guys on traffic concerns if there are any, but just make sure to drive slow and drive carefully to stay on the safe side in the grand scheme of things. Low temperatures for your Thursday morning, as good as they get for November 5th. My word, this year is flying by. 48 degrees in Oxford, 47 Boonville, 47 Amory, and 46 there towards Macon. We jump out west, 50 showing up all across the Delta from Cleveland to Clarksdale to Tunica, all the way towards Belzona and Greenwood as well. So your school bus forecast, still need the long sleeves, but at least not going to be as cold as it has been. 50 degrees around pickup and 73 towards drop-off. Sunny skies definitely building there towards the afternoon as a lot of that morning moisture clears on out with that sunshine burning it up. So Futurecast for your Thursday morning, as you can see right here, that dense fog still in place for some parts, but as we get into that mid to late morning, watch how this just basically burns up. Not going to be tracking too much of anything beyond this, and this cloud cover that is going to be pushing through the area, it's going to be more of those thin clouds high up in the sky, not going to be producing anything too dense to block that sunshine. Now what you're seeing right here is this front start to extend a little bit more towards the east. What is occurring with this is winds shift, but only for a brief moment. So overall, that morning commute going to be when we get those northerly winds in the forecast. Beyond that, noontime, we're already seeing that southerly wind return to our area, bringing in that Gulf moisture and bringing in that warm, unstable air once again. So setting the scene towards our Friday, but luckily Thursday still staying on the drier side as that system does approach. But winds, pretty breezy, about 5, 10, potentially even 15 mile an hour gusts in the forecast. So it is going to be the breezy conditions we have to worry about, not the rainy conditions for sure. 3 p.m. still getting that southerly breeze. And again, our system is still well up here towards the north, towards the Canadian border, that building into our area as we get more into that Thursday overnight forecast, and that front stretching across the central portion of the United States as we get more into that forecast as well. Let's bring it back here to North Mississippi, and as you can see, still with those dry conditions. So any Thursday afternoon or evening plans will be good to go. So yeah, any weddings that are planned, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, for those that are close to me, it's going to be a good forecast for it for sure. 74 degrees New Albany, 75 Amory, 75 there towards Starkville, and 75 towards Clarksdale. I was saying that my sister is getting married on Friday, so rehearsal dinners tomorrow. It looks good so far. Friday though, that's still the golden question. We'll track that for the Maynor family and for folks at home here in just a moment. Let's first get our high school game of the week forecast. This for Thursday night. Yes, that's where our game of the week will be. And it's going to be 64 degrees around pregame, 58 towards halftime, and 56 towards that final snap. Long sleeves will be needed by the end of the game, but not going to need those heavy layers like what we had last week, or not needing to play football and get that steam going like what I was doing last Friday night. But hey, it was fun and it kept me warm. Can't complain about that whatsoever. Let's go ahead and take Futurecast into our Friday, why don't we? And as you can see right here, still dry as we get into those overnight hours, but I'm going to stand right here as we walk through that forecast overnight. What you see taking place is that southerly wind still bringing in that Gulf moisture. That Gulf moisture very unstable in the grand scheme of things compared to some of that northerly wind and that drier air it drives in, not getting that whatsoever. This is going to be that unstable air mass that's developing right over the top of North Mississippi. And by the time we get into our Friday morning, already seeing that cloud cover build in our area and dealing with some partly cloudy conditions for the start of the day. Well, then we expand things out once again, and you do get this frontal boundary. I know it's showing up as a trough axis, but it is a weak cold front that's going to develop right there. And of course, all of those showers and storms that develop right over the top of it as well. If we look at a few of those developing storms over there towards Fort Wayne, Indiana, that is going to be some of the stronger development towards our Friday morning. But let's keep that forecast going, and as this continues to interact with that daytime heating, expect those showers and storms to build in coverage just a bit. I do want to point out that this is one of our other short-range models, our HRRR model, and usually it's pretty reliable when it comes to the positioning and the timing and the magnitude of these storms. So let's go ahead and take a look, and I think we'll be pretty pleased at what we're seeing whenever we're talking about severe weather development. So this is by 9 a.m. on our Friday, not expecting severe weather by then, but as we get more towards that afternoon time frame, you do get a lot of this activity that's developing there towards Atmore, Alabama, well into the Jackson, Alabama area, Montgomery. That's going to be where that primary isolated development is happening. not here in North Mississippi. That's a fortunate thing in regards to that positioning because it does have a lot of it shifting out there towards the east as other models have trended as well. So I would say I would not be surprised at all if that threat primarily shifted a little bit more towards Alabama and we maybe shaved off just a bit here in Mississippi of that severe weather threat. That's definitely a good trend for us here in North Mississippi as we don't want any of that severe weather. Alabama can keep it. We'll stay with those mostly clear conditions here in North Mississippi. But up the line, we were talking about this threat up there towards southern Kentucky and there towards Nashville and Jackson. There you're getting that line that's starting to develop across that area, well from Lexington all the way down there towards Nashville. And that's where that line could continue to progress a little bit more south and west. And that could include a few counties there in northeast Mississippi. And yes, thunderstorms are embedded within that. I'm not seeing high returns with this. So it's going to be how these storms and how this lifting mechanism interacts with that little bit of unstable air that we do have. It's enough to produce a severe storm, but it matters what that lifting mechanism does in regards to precipitation early and how that interacts with the daytime heating and that unstable air mass. As you can see right here in North Mississippi, pretty calm in the grand scheme of things. And this is one of our other short-range models that's forecasting a similar thing to what other models have trended as. And so hopefully this continues to be the case overnight. As we get more into that 6 o'clock time frame, there's that southwest building that we were talking about and could get a little bit of those stronger storms out there towards Corinth, well into Florence, Alabama. That's really our stretch. And that's why Alcorn County, Prentiss County, and Tishomingo County were under that level 2 threat. The rest of us under level 1. And I think that's really just letting folks know that there's potential for it to build south and west. But I really think that far northeast corner is going to be the primary area that we are watching as we move into our Friday evening forecast. So overall, coverage we have right now at about 30%. Wouldn't be surprised if that was dialed back, but it is going to be something to monitor for that little bit of percentage that we do have for the potential for some strong development, because I know Futurecast isn't exactly showing it, but there is some unstable air right here there towards Tishomingo, Prentiss, and Alcorn County that could interact with some of these cells and produce a brief large hail producing storm or some gusty winds as well. That, of course, working its way through North Alabama as we get more into those Friday overnight hours. But we are definitely seeing some good news in the grand scheme of things when it comes to how models have been trending over the past 24 hours. So hopefully that continues on, and we are rooting for that system to look better and better. High temperatures on Friday. Yeah, we said it's going to be unstable, and with the instability comes heat. 80 degrees in Greenwood and Belzona and Greenville. Keep in mind, guys, that we're in November. 80 degrees is a bit of an anomaly. Our normal for this time of year, 68 degrees, so definitely nowhere close to that. 78 Houston and 73 around Hamilton, Alabama. So it is going to be a warm one towards the afternoon. Dare I say a toasty one, but we are continuing to keep eyes on that unstable air mass as we get behind the scenes. I want to bring it back in here real quick because as you do see, that level 2 threat is in place for parts of Alcorn, Prentiss, and Tishomingo County. So for folks up there, I would go ahead and have those layers of protection because that is our area that we are watching for the highest potential of getting some of those severe weather reports. Besides that, this would really take a unique interaction of that unstable air mass with that lifting mechanism to produce a strong storm, nevertheless a severe storm. So hopefully that means that we are trending in the right direction and hopefully dialing things back in the grand scheme of things. But that heart of that level 2 threat will continue to remain right over the top of Nashville, and that's where that front will continue to progress right on through. So no surprise that Nashville's included within that, Lexington as well, and Jackson, Tennessee. So monitoring those areas and just how far it extends south and west, and we'll keep eyes on that here behind the scenes in the Room to Room Weather Center as needed and cut in to inform you guys what's happening as needed as well. Looking at those severe weather threats, what do we need to be worried about? Well, tornadoes not exactly high with this setup, and neither are winds. With that northwest flow or that wind aloft, that the direction that it's coming from, we usually see some large hail producers, and that's why we do have a medium threat on our isolated large hail. But being that it's not going to be a high wind producer or anything of that matter, it's going to be a time where we need to move those vehicles indoors for sure. Not saying it's out of the realm of possibilities, but it's just that non-zero chance. That means that it is very, very low compared to some of the other threats. Flash flooding, also not a possibility really with this system because we're not getting those widespread showers and storms. So this is not going to be a heavy output of rainfall. If anything, it's going to be for a brief half hour to an hour as these work their way on through, but that's not going to really accumulate into too much of anything in the form of flash flooding, or at least that's how models are guiding us right now. And we're hopeful that that will continue to maintain itself into our Thursday. But speaking of Thursday, we definitely need to stay weather aware, and meteorologist Maggie McCauley will have the latest on that forecast coming up tomorrow morning. All right, high school game of the week. Friday night. We are moving it 24 hours into the future, so our game of the week's on Thursday. This is for Friday night for folks that are braving the storm. As you can see, pregame 60% coverage. I think we're a little bit on the higher side in our coverage, but definitely showing that thunderstorms are a possibility for our forecast that evening. Halftime 66 degrees and final snap 63 as well, with those chances dwindling overnight. So have that rain gear ready just in case, but hopefully we continue to remain on the drier side for folks that are trying to brave out those Friday night lights, because I know it's a fun time, but I want you guys to stay safe in the process. Georgia traveling to Mississippi State to take on the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs will definitely win. That is my guess in this. 11 o'clock kickoff, 72 degrees around first place, 79 by halftime, and 80 towards that final snap. Some lingering moisture, definitely a possibility to stick around in that forecast, but that's only about 10% coverage. Not exactly sold on those percentages. I do have a pretty dry forecast for our Saturday, especially moving into those afternoon time frames. The Citadel traveling to Oxford to take on the Ole Miss Rebels. 12 o'clock kickoff there for Saturday, 77 first place, 78 by halftime. And there you see towards the afternoon, that 10% chance trying to sneak its way into the forecast. I think that's a little bit ambitious, but the potential for some lingering moisture is still in that forecast. And we'll, of course, have the latest on that as we push into our Thursday and Friday to let you guys know what's happening. Last but not least, Alabama Crimson Tide taking on the LSU Tigers. Always a good matchup between these two teams, even though one team is definitely disappointed so far this season. But that is a night game in Bryant-Denny. That is an atmosphere that is unlike any other. 6:30 kickoff and 10% chance with some 20% halftime and beyond. That's going to be a result of some of that moisture kicking into the forecast. And of course, with that front moving west to east, well, then it's no surprise why we still have a little bit of those higher chances out there towards Tuscaloosa. So this is definitely going to be an action-packed next couple of days on the football field, action-packed next couple of days in the skies, and we'll keep that latest forecast for you guys here on Mississippi Live Weather. 7-day forecast, what can we expect? Well, right now we have 30% coverage for our Friday afternoon. Again, our best chances for severe weather, primarily going to be north and east, but that level 1 threat still I-55 and all across the eastern part of our viewing area. So have those layers of protection. Mississippi Live Weather app, a big one, but also Weather Call, and also weather radio, everything you need to stay safe whenever that storm comes to town. Saturday, 20% coverage with some of that lingering moisture. I have that primarily being towards that morning time hours, but towards the afternoon, much drier conditions, as will be the case for our Sunday. And then beyond that, I told you guys cold weather is coming. Yes, it is. November will feel like November a little bit more towards next week. Those 76s dropping to 59, dropping to 49 for a high temperature by Monday. And lows trend 55 Saturday, 49 Sunday, 31 Monday, 28 by Tuesday morning. Yes, have those layers. I'm going to have probably 4 sweatshirts on and a blanket over the top of my head just to stay on the warm side, because that is a forecast that, it's going to be a cold one for sure. Okay, I see some folks talking in the chat just about the football games. Roll Tide, go MSU, go Dogs. Definitely see that. I'm not seeing many Rebel interaction. My wife would be disappointed. I believe Bama can do it. Yeah, so getting their football predictions in. It's going to be a good game for sure. I feel very confident about the MSU Bulldogs. Matt, I see you behind the scenes. Do you want to give your game day prediction and talk more about severe weather threat come Friday?
Well, I was gonna review you that a little bit as well. I've been doing stuff on the books right now. Just for some folks joining us late, what's your latest assessment? Anything changing?
Honestly, looking better. Let me go back a couple graphics because I can kind of show better in the form of not as high on those chances. So if we go right here to our day 3, if I can find it, there we go. So our day 3 assessment, this is going to be our Thursday night into our Friday, and feel free to intervene here because I know you're looking at this evening and breaking it down for us. But this is our HRRR model, which is one of those high resolution model runs that kind of gives us a better idea on what to expect. Has cloud cover building there towards the morning with that southerly wind, so that's that moisture returning. Some of that isolated coverage with some sporadic showers. Probably not going to be much of anything. That's really just going to be some cloud cover. But as we get more into our Friday afternoon, I'm going to have to expand things out to really show you where this is kicking up. And it's primarily going to be south and east of us with a lot of that isolated discrete cells out there towards southern Mississippi and southern Alabama. If anything, this is positioned much more south and east than where things sat at the 6 o'clock hour. So trending in the right direction in that front in regards to it's not North Mississippi. But even that level 2 threat out there towards Nashville all the way into Lexington, you can see how into the afternoon that line is progressing enough to maybe produce a few strong storms along that leading edge. Even models not overly doing this, so I'm not overly sold, but with that little bit of instability we do have, wouldn't be surprised if one of these kicked up a severe thunderstorm or two. So that's the primary threat that I would say as we get into that 6 o'clock hour. This is really the only threat in my eyes when it comes to this model run that I would be of concern, and that's going to be the southwest building of that frontal boundary pushing into northeast Mississippi, and that's why that level 2 threat is in place for Alcorn, Prentiss, and Tishomingo County. So that's the best bet of it, but honestly, rain chances going to be very minimal compared to what we have been seeing compared to other model runs, and this is definitely trended in the right direction and keeping a lot of these severe weather chances primarily south and east of us and well to the northeast of us, and we're kind of in that just right sandwich between two bad things, and we're the good stuff in the middle, I guess you could say.
And I think that's still possibly the case. I am interested that, it's been very consistent on this back building toward Corinth there. I would expect if we're going to go late evening on this, that we would just start to see it. The problem is it's the last hour of the HRRR run, right? It goes till
Unfortunately
6 p.m. there. I don't know. Like I'm going to be really interested to see what the 6Z run, which is the midnight run, has this to show for it there, to see how far that builds back into our area. I think that could still happen, but I'll be honest. Here's what while you're there, pull up the Cape. That's going to be 18-hour Cape. We're going to need.
We're going to need way more.
Yeah, we're going to need like the full. I don't know if the full run's on there. Dump in the 18-hour Cape, and then we will force it to go all the way to the end of the run there. Okay. So we'll just take that Cape. I'm sorry.
Are you doing it? Yeah, you go ahead.
You know me. I've got control issues.
I'll sit in the passenger seat. I'm good.
Okay, but so let's see. Is that not giving me my 0Z Cape? 0Z Surface Cape. Right? 0Z is the newest it's got in there, right?
Yeah, 0Z should be the one.
Yeah, it should be. 0Z Cape. We should be good. Why am I not showing up there? Oh, because the time on this is still set to 18 hours.
Oh.
So let's take that to 48. Well, not 489, but 48.
That'd be amazing if it could go 489 hours.
I don't know. I think that'd drive you crazy over time. I know it drives me crazy. I'd be making too many predictions. And yes, that is a thing. One interesting thing. Do you see how it has this little bubble here?
I do,
where
yeah.
It's just there's just pooled moisture. Clearly, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with probably what it has there, kind of where the terrain changes out there toward Grenada County as well. That you can literally see Grenada Lake in the Cape here. I'm interested. This is, I guess, the Blackland Prairie section.
It looks like our fog over the past few days.
It does. Some of the same spots, and you see how it just kind of whittles away right there at the end. Where there is fuel down south, and there's definitely not north. I expect the fuel to get a little greater on this, but that's kind of like the best case scenario we're talking about, where maybe that front shoves all the moisture south, and then it just struggles, boom, just in time, not quite enough. So, I agree with you. I think this is about as positive a scenario as we can imagine. I wonder if, even though it's going to say HRRR on there, let's look at 3 kilometer. Did you look at 3 kilometer NAM?
I have not pulled that. I was primarily focused on the HRRR. I've been watching NAM behind the scenes. I haven't seen anything overly done. I think that they extend a risk area out there towards southern Alabama and southern Mississippi for sure, because with that fuel and how that discrete cell formation on the HRRR is producing, I think it's definitely something to watch for some development.
We clearly have the northern extent here on this. I think we'll go put on 3 kilometer NAM, and we could probably watch it. But yeah, you can see how there's just a sharp cutoff there where it's like, nope. And part of the reason for that is sometimes it's just the way the equation for this works. But I'll be honest, I'm looking at the moisture here behind the scenes on weather at College of DuPage. I wonder if dew point, if we can show dew point effectively here. Hold on, let's see. DEW. I think that there should be future dew point. There we are.
Which this will be something to watch, because you have a weird interaction of that front shifting the winds towards the morning and then shifting back towards the afternoon. So it's kind of like you get the moisture today, then it goes away tomorrow morning, and then it comes back towards the afternoon and kind of destabilizes that atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I don't know. I'm not super impressed by what I'm looking at on that there as well. Let's go 48 on that.
Still a lot of what ifs, and that's really good 48 hours out.
I like to see what ifs. I don't like this color table. What's this color table doing? That's not
retro.
Hold on. Surface dew point. That's a terrible color table. Let's fix that there. There we go. That's
Oh,
what
man.
we're looking for here.
I can blink my eyes now. They're so bright.
Well, and clearly, what the numbers we have on top are not updating because they're based on the other one. So unfortunately, that means I have to kind of. I wonder if there's a way to force them to. No, there's not. So we're just gonna have to rip those off. So
Well, we can kind of get an
ignore the fact that we're
idea
not-
with those colors. I mean, we've done enough of dew point coverage before that we can kind of walk through that those are going to be, upper 60s where those purples are showing up, and the blues are going to be more of those low to mid to maybe even upper 60s. So dew points are definitely up there enough to show some moist air, some destabilized air in the atmosphere, but CAPE not exactly lining up like what it once was with GFS. And that's both on HER and NAM3K kind of aligning with that, and it's hard to argue against that.
Our color table is not lining up right there because that should not. Hold on. There should be. Is there another layer above that? There, we're getting like the pinks. Let me think. So this should be what 50s, 60s, 70s. When I'm looking
That's
at
a lot
color
of
table,
70s.
it doesn't match that. That doesn't match at all. That's a color table issue there.
I think that blue
Boy,
should be the 50s and that purple should be 60s.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's off. We'll have to check on that there. We haven't really used that for future dew points yet, but again, these are the kind of things we get to work out here. That then we'll ride that train for the next 20 years, or at least I will. Yeah, it's interesting that you do have even in some of the other models there. So yeah, this is overblown on dew points. That should be mid 60s there. So there's definitely the moisture just struggling to make it north, and that's your cutoff. That's the reason that hasn't fully fallen into place. I'm going to pull up that NAM3. Do you have NAM3K in there? Yeah, NAM3K latest. Let's double click that and take that in. Okay, and boy, ignore all that windshield stuff. I wonder if it'll give me a second here. I'll try to turn that off.
Well, luckily, it looks like I'm blocking a good bit of it, so.
You're fine. Okay. At least one of us is doing our job. Let's see here. So there's some of those storms trying to pop up on that. Again, riding the north edge of that moisture. It just doesn't fill in much on the north side there, does it?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's... So again, it's the stuff up north is moisture starved. It's really interesting because, that you have that slight risk up here because, and of course, that was issued much, much earlier today. The moisture just is not impressive there. I don't know that they don't. Usually they like to upgrade it time after time. It'll be interesting to see what they do tonight because, based on experience in this situation, I have a very difficult time arguing to keep the slight risk where they have it. I would make a much better argument farther south. And even there, I think it's still a bit questionable. It's not impossible. I think certainly they'll expand the level 1 risk. Might as well pull that back up here while we're jabbering about it. A moment to bring that back up. So nothing out there, but let's go to day 3, level 1. Well, that's far enough east. Yeah.
I think they push it more south, though, to the Gulf there in southern Alabama, I think.
Probably. Yeah, I could see that. I could see it farther south. But I have a hard time arguing again for that yellow unless they just decide to develop the whole area in it. It depends on what their threshold is. I still think, again, probably pretty limited number of reports.
Agreed. Yeah, I think...
And honestly, do you agree hail still?
Yeah. With this type of flow, that's what I would think. Maybe getting some gusty winds. I don't know if we surpass 60-plus miles an hour, but I think we do get 20, 30 miles an hour with some of these supercells that they were to develop over the top of us. But again, that's if, and we just looked at probably 3 or 4 different model runs that all had different positioning. So don't you love that?
It's like if it's all over the place, that usually means it's not all perfectly aligned. By the way, I see that JBD something 99, can't read it because of my resolution here, asking if we're both doing No Shave November. Yes, I've talked about this, I think, a little bit, that, my father-in-law is a prostate cancer survivor, and so it's a way to, just, of course, remember to think about getting those screenings or maybe actually get those screenings, and because it can be very significant, debilitating, and deadly if ignored. So good survival rate if you get to it early, though.
Exactly.
So, as is the case in my father-in-law, many other men out there as well. So, yes, we are no shave Novembering, and Gabe will pass me as far as scruff is concerned in about a day, and I've been running at it for about 4 weeks.
We'll see, because it all depends on my sister and the wedding rules. So we'll see what ends up turning of that. But
I understand. You can't get kicked out of the family.
Yeah, I just don't want to be mad. But
Yeah, I get it.
But fingers crossed. If I can make it through the whole month of November, I don't know, I feel like I'll have a good one. But December 1st, I think I agree with you on the front that it's gone, because it is a whole different type of beast.
Yeah, I'm not big on that. But what we are big on is talking about weather call, because we want to make sure that folks know about weather call, because when we get into severe weather season, it will call you if you're in that zone where a tornado warning is issued, severe thunderstorm warnings, if that's something you select there, and we'll call you back if a tornado is confirmed for your area. So we talk a lot about this for good reason. It is your personalized tornado warning. You don't ever have to worry about the sirens anymore. If that weather call goes off, hey, we need to go. Enforce major flash flooding, kind of like what they had back in Texas. You'll get a phone call for that as well. So basically, your protection from life-threatening severe weather, that is what weather call is. If you scan that QR code, you can get more information. There's a $15 fee that goes with that. Yes, we do get just a little bit of money on weather call there. But ultimately, it's a way to support Mississippi Live Weather and at the same time keep your family safe. Because, Gabe, I love what we do, but to be perfectly honest, I think it's silly when people stay up all night with us when we get in those severe weather events. I mean, certainly for paying the bills, it's not the worst thing in the world now because that's what I've been working on this evening, is just going through and making sure all the invoices and sent, all the nerdy business stuff. So certainly that doesn't hurt that. But ultimately, if you have weather call, you can go to bed and you don't have to worry about it, which might be better for you paying the bills the next day and getting that good night's sleep.
It's such a blessing. We have so many nighttime tornado threats or nighttime severe weather threats that, we have too many viewers in those overnight hours. And we always say, guys, you got to go to bed. And they're like, well, we can't go to bed. We just don't feel safe. Best way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So weather call, of course, recommend that. And to be clear, looking at what you're looking at behind there, we are going to be watching this closely. Maggie will have updates tomorrow morning starting at 6:30 a.m. Did I get it right this time?
You got it right. 6:30, 7, and 7:30. And that'll be a big broadcast to watch, because there's going to be a lot of updates with the 6Z model run and 12Z model run almost at the end of the show. And then we're also going to have the latest on the severe weather risk. Those get issued into those overnight hours. So she'll have the latest look at that. If it's a level 2, level 1, anything like that in regards to North Mississippi. And that broadcast is going to be at 6:30, 7, and 7:30. And of course, we'll be back at 5, 6, and 10 on your Thursday evening, live from our game of the week in Oxford. The Chargers taking on the Yellow Jackets of Starkville. A ranked matchup. We will have live coverage at 5 and 6, and then of course those highlights coming at your way at 10 o'clock. So we can't wait to see you guys there, but make sure to wake up bright and early with that cup of coffee in hand to join Maggie for those morning shows here on Mississippi Live Weather.
Community is the way we find our strength and share our hope. It's the way dinner on the table brings a family closer together. It's the way we make sure his first chapter book is the first step on his path to greatness. It's the way we rally in hard times and rise back up stronger than ever. United is the way we come together so everyone can thrive. Join us at unitedway.org.